The restaurant fell silent as Sophia Winters, CEO of Winters Enterprises, stood up and placed both hands firmly on the white tablecloth. Her voice cut through the air like a diamond through glass. $50 million. Marry me or leave now. The man across from her, dressed in a worn suit jacket with a coffee stain on his collar, stared back in disbelief, clutching the photo of his daughter he'd accidentally dropped when the waiter had guided him to what he thought was a job interview, not a blind date with one of the most powerful women in the country. If you're wondering how a struggling single father ended up facing this life-changing ultimatum from a billionaire CEO, stick around. This story might just change how you see love, sacrifice, and second chances. Hit that like button and subscribe if you believe everyone deserves a shot at happiness, no matter where they start from. Michael Chen wiped his sweaty palms against his pants for the 5th time in as many minutes. The restaurant was far too fancy for his comfort. Crystal chandeliers, waiters in bow ties, and wine glasses that probably cost more than his monthly rent. But the job posting had specifically mentioned this address, and he couldn't afford to miss this opportunity. Table for Chen, he asked the maitre d', trying to sound confident despite his racing heart. The host scanned his tablet. Ah yes, your party is already seated. Follow me, please. Michael adjusted his tie, borrowed from his neighbor, and followed the host through the maze of tables. He'd spent his last $20 on a haircut yesterday, hoping to make a good impression. This job would mean everything: health insurance for Emma's asthma treatments, maybe even moving out of their one-bedroom apartment where his 8-year-old daughter had to sleep on a pull-out couch. Here we are, sir, the host said, gesturing to a table where a woman sat alone, studying something on her phone. Michael hesitated. The job posting had mentioned meeting with a Mr. Winters from Winters Enterprises. Perhaps this was his assistant? Thank you, he said, taking a seat across from the woman. She looked up, and Michael felt his breath catch. She was striking, dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, sharp eyes that seemed to evaluate everything they saw, and a posture that radiated authority. You're not Jeremy, she said flatly. Michael's stomach dropped. I'm Michael Chen. I'm here for the interview with Winters Enterprises. The woman's perfectly shaped eyebrow arched. There's no interview scheduled today. I'm Sophia Winters, CEO of Winters Enterprises, and I'm waiting for my blind date, Jeremy Hoffman. Michael felt his face burn with embarrassment. I'm so sorry. There must be some mistake. The email said. What position were you interviewing for? Sophia interrupted, her tone softening slightly. Senior accountant. I have 10 years of experience, but after my wife died and I became a single parent, I had to take a step back career-wise. I've been doing freelance work, but with my daughter's medical needs. He trailed off, realizing he was oversharing with a complete stranger. As he moved to stand, his wallet fell open, and a small photo slipped out onto the table. Sophia picked it up before he could reach for it. Your daughter? She asked, studying the picture of a smiling girl with Michael's eyes and a missing front tooth. Yes. Emma. She's 8. Michael reached for the photo, but Sophia held it a moment longer. Sit down, she said suddenly. Let me make a call. Confused but not wanting to offend someone who might still be connected to his potential job, Michael obeyed. Sophia stepped away from the table, phone pressed to her ear, speaking in hushed tones. When she returned, her expression had changed. There was a mix-up. The interview was scheduled for tomorrow, not today. And at our downtown office, not here. She sat down and signaled for a waiter. Since you're already here, let's have dinner. I'm curious about your accounting background. I couldn't possibly. I insist. Consider it a pre-interview. The waiter appeared, and Sophia ordered wine for both of them without consulting the price. Michael winced, thinking of his nearly maxed-out credit card. Don't worry, she said, noticing his discomfort. This is on the company account. Over the next hour, Michael found himself sharing more than he'd intended. About losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago. About downsizing their life to manage Emma's medical bills. About the nights spent working after Emma went to bed, trying to keep them afloat. "You've sacrificed a lot," Sophia observed, swirling her wine. Michael shrugged. "That's what parents do. Emma's my world." "My father was nothing like you," Sophia said unexpectedly. "He built Winters Enterprises from nothing, but family always came second. Or third. Maybe fourth, after golf." Michael didn't know how to respond to that, so he simply nodded. "Do you know what I look for in my senior staff, Mr. Chen?" Sophia asked. "Expertise? Experience? Integrity? Resilience? The ability to prioritize what truly matters." She leaned forward. "Tell me, if you had financial security, real security, what would you do with your life?" Michael considered the question. "I'd still work. I believe in earning my way. But I'd have more time for Emma. I'd take her to the science museum she's always talking about. Maybe piano lessons, she loves music. And I'd start a college fund." Sophia nodded, as if confirming something to herself. Then she did something completely unexpected. She stood up, placed both hands on the table, and made her shocking proposal. $50 million. Marry me or leave now. The restaurant fell silent. Michael stared at her, certain he'd misheard. What? Sophia sat back down, leaning forward to speak more privately. "My grandfather's will stipulates that I must be married by my 35th birthday to maintain controlling interest in the company. That's 3 months from now. My board is getting nervous, and my cousin Richard is circling like a vulture, ready to take over." "But why me? We just met." "This is crazy. Because in 1 hour, I've learned more about your character than I have about men I've dated for months. You're honest, hardworking, and you understand sacrifice. I'm not proposing love, Mr. Chen. I'm proposing a business arrangement." Michael's mind raced. "The 50 million would be yours regardless of how long the marriage lasts. We'd need to stay married for at least 1 year to satisfy the will's conditions. After that, we could quietly divorce. You'd have financial security for you and Emma forever. And I'd keep my company." Michael felt dizzy. "This can't be legal." "It's perfectly legal. Marriages of convenience have existed for centuries. We'd sign a prenuptial agreement, of course. My lawyers would draw up everything. And if I say no?" Sophia's expression didn't change. "Then you walk away. No harm done. The job interview still happens tomorrow, with the same chances as any other candidate." Michael thought of Emma, of her future, of the opportunities this kind of money would provide. But he also thought about what he would be teaching her about relationships, about integrity. "I need time to think," he said finally. Sophia nodded. "You have until tomorrow morning. The interview is at 9 a.m. Give me your answer then." Michael barely slept that night. After tucking Emma in, he paced their small apartment, weighing his options. The money would change everything. Emma could have the best medical care, the best education. They could move out of their cramped apartment. He could even start the small accounting firm he'd always dreamed of. But marriage? To a stranger? For money? When he arrived at Winters Enterprises the next morning, the receptionist immediately directed him to the top floor, Sophia's office. She was standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, gazing out at the city. "Have you decided?" she asked without turning around. "Before I answer," Michael said, "I need to know something. Why not just find someone else? Someone from your social circle who would understand this kind of arrangement?" Sophia turned to face him. "Because they would all want more than money. They'd want influence in my company. Power. A real marriage eventually. You're the only person I've met who I believe would honor the terms exactly as stated. And after the year is up, we go our separate ways. You keep the money. I keep my company. Clean and simple. Michael took a deep breath. I'll do it, but I have conditions. Sophia raised an eyebrow. You're negotiating with me? Yes. First, I want a trust set up for Emma that no one can touch, not even me. Second, I want to earn my place at your company, no special treatment. And third, we need to be honest with Emma about the nature of our arrangement, in age-appropriate terms. Sophia studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Agreed. My lawyers will draw up the papers today. We'll be married by the end of the week. And just like that, Michael Chen's life changed forever. The wedding was a small, private ceremony at City Hall, with only Emma, Sophia's assistant, and the lawyers present. Emma wore her best dress and seemed excited about the idea of having a new friend in their life, though Michael had carefully explained that Sophia was helping them and they were helping her in return. Like a teamwork marriage? Emma had asked. Something like that, Michael had replied, relieved at her simple acceptance. Their living arrangements were equally pragmatic. Sophia had purchased a spacious penthouse with separate master suites on opposite ends. The middle spaces, kitchen, living room, dining area, were shared. Emma had her own bedroom with an adjoining playroom that Sophia had furnished with everything a young girl could want, from books to art supplies to a small piano. For public appearances, they presented themselves as a happy couple. Michael accompanied Sophia to business functions, learned to navigate the complex social waters of her world, and played his part convincingly. Sophia, in turn, attended Emma's school events and even helped with homework when Michael worked late. The arrangement seemed perfect on paper. But reality, as always, proved more complicated. The first crack appeared 3 months into their marriage. Michael had been hired as a senior accountant at Winters Enterprises, true to their agreement. While reviewing the quarterly reports, he discovered discrepancies in the international division, signs of potential embezzlement that had been cleverly concealed. When he brought his findings to Sophia, her reaction surprised him. I know, she said calmly. Richard's been skimming for years. Your cousin? The one who wanted to take over the company? And you've let him? It's complicated, Michael. Richard has connections we need in the Asian markets. His indiscretions are manageable. It's fraud, Michael insisted. And if I found it, others could too. The company could face serious legal consequences. This is why I keep the accounting department on a need-to-know basis, Sophia said, her voice hardening. Some things are better left alone. Michael stood his ground. I won't sign off on fraudulent reports. That's not what I agreed to. Their argument escalated, ending with Sophia storming out. That night, for the first time, Michael questioned whether the money was worth compromising his principles. The next morning, he found Sophia in the kitchen, making coffee. I've been thinking about what you said, she began, surprising him. You're right. We can't risk the company's reputation. I've scheduled a meeting with Richard today. Michael nodded, relieved but still wary. Would you like me to be there? No. This is family business. I'll handle it. Later that week, Richard resigned from his position, citing personal reasons. The financial discrepancies were quietly corrected, with no public scandal. Michael never asked what Sophia had said to her cousin, but he noticed a subtle shift in how she regarded him afterward, with something that might have been respect. As months passed, their carefully constructed arrangement began to evolve in unexpected ways. Emma, with her natural openness, became the bridge between them. She insisted on family dinners, movie nights, weekend outings. Gradually, the rigid boundaries they'd established softened. Michael discovered that beneath Sophia's tough exterior was a woman who had never really experienced family life. She'd been raised by nannies while her father built his empire, sent to boarding schools from an early age, and groomed to take over the company with little regard for her personal happiness. Sophia, in turn, found herself drawn to the simple pleasures of Michael and Emma's relationship, their inside jokes, their traditions, their unconditional support for each other. She began to look forward to coming home, something she'd never felt before. 6 months into their marriage, Emma was cast as the lead in her school play. On the night of the performance, Michael sat in the audience, saving a seat for Sophia, who was running late from an important board meeting. As the minutes ticked by and the lights dimmed, he resigned himself to her absence. Just as the curtain rose, someone slipped into the seat beside him. Sophia, breathless and slightly disheveled, had left the meeting early. "Did I miss anything?" she whispered. "No, you're just in time," Michael replied, surprised by the warmth that spread through him at her presence. Emma spotted them from the stage, her face lighting up when she saw Sophia. She performed brilliantly, and afterward, as they presented her with flowers, she threw her arms around both of them. "My two favorite people came to see me," she exclaimed. Later that night, after Emma had gone to bed, Michael found Sophia on the balcony, gazing at the city lights. "Thank you for coming tonight," he said. "It meant a lot to Emma." "It meant a lot to me too," Sophia admitted. "I've never had anyone look at me the way she did when she saw me in the audience. Like my presence actually mattered." "Of course it matters. You've become important to her." Sophia turned to face him. "And to you?" The question hung between them, charged with possibilities neither had anticipated when they'd entered this arrangement. "Yes," Michael said simply. "To me too." That night marked another shift in their relationship, a recognition that what had begun as a business transaction was becoming something neither of them had bargained for. As their one-year anniversary approached, the milestone after which they could legally divorce without jeopardizing Sophia's control of the company, tension grew in the penthouse. Neither Michael nor Sophia mentioned the looming deadline, but it shadowed their interactions. Emma sensed the change. "Are you and Sophia fighting?" she asked Michael one evening as he tucked her in. "No, sweetheart." "Why do you ask? You both seem sad. And you don't laugh together anymore." Out of the mouths of babes, Michael thought. Sometimes grown-ups have complicated feelings they need to figure out. "Do you still like being Sophia's teammate?" Michael smiled at her choice of words. "Yes, I do. Very much." "Then you should tell her. That's what you always tell me to do when I have a problem with my friends." The wisdom of his daughter never ceased to amaze him. The next day, Michael received an unexpected call from his mother-in-law, a woman he'd met only once, at a company function. Eleanor Winters had the same commanding presence as her daughter, but with an added layer of warmth that Sophia seemed to have suppressed. "I'd like to have lunch with you, Michael," she said. "Just the two of us."